friends, and welcome to you on the bookshelf. I haven't done one of these in a while. I've concentrated on other things during the summer and fall, but now that colder weather is moving in, I'll be doing more things from inside. And this is one of my favorite things that I did last year on my bookshelf. And today I'm going to show you some books in my collection that are children's books. They're textbooks from long ago. And one of the things I really like about these books is how they depict colorfully life at the period in which they were produced. They are accurate and some are just absolutely incredible. Now, the first one, by the way, all of these that I'm going to show you tonight, I got at a Habitat for Humanity thrift store and paid about $1 a piece for them, and well worth it in my opinion. The first one I want to show you is called Faces and Places. Now, this has a wonderful color illustration with a little cowboy and cowgirl on their horseback there. Sir. Now, this book was published by the Allen and Bacon Company and is a second reader by Myrtle Banks Quinlan with illustrations by Karen Draper and Constant Heffron. Now, this was published in 1940, and I'm going to show you a couple of the illustrations from this that I think this is so wonderful as it depicts life at that time, family life at that time, a young boy and his mom. And, it's just so cool. And then we have here the dad, the one who goes out to work and brings in the money to support his family, and the loving son and daughter there meeting their dad at the car. Check out that car. Is that not cool? And is that not characteristic of the 1940s? It certainly is. Now, this book here covers many different topics and has many wonderful stories in it. Here's a train of the period. Really cool. I mean, I love this because, as I said, these books are so accurate to the period in which they were produced, and it's just like a fun trip. Here's the city library. How much has that changed from 1940 to today? We'd have computers and so many other different things there that wasn't present in the 1940s. Faces and Places is a really cool book, and I found this one in remarkably good condition. A lot of times school books are not in the best of condition because, well, they got used. And if kids back and when these were produced were like I was when I was in school, you tended to sometimes scribble on the pages. Wasn't very nice, but we did it. This one is called From Sea to Sea, and this was from the Carleton Elementary Library, is where it was housed for many years, and it is a Silver Burdette Company book, and that was published in 1945. And I want to show you a few images from this book because it is just awesome. Like here, going swimming, getting ready to go swimming at summer camp. Summer camp is always fascinating. It's a topic that I love, as is swimming. And, this was an era where, like here, boys could be boys and girls could be girls, something that we don't, unfortunately, see so clearly nowadays. I don't understand totally why, and I'm not going to get into all that woke stuff, but this is one of the reasons I really love these old books. Like here's an old granny with a billy goat that evidently pushed her and knocked her onto this wooden tub, and her backside split it, and hopefully she didn't get too many splinters. They'd be kind of hard to remove back there for her, I think. And there are some interesting pieces in here about the Native American Indians. And here's a little Native American Indian boy. And let's see, here he is with the chief of the tribe. This book, it did not fare as well as the other one I showed you. It does have marking on it, and there is a tear here. But the thing is, these books are such a unique perspective on our school history in the United States of America, and I love to find these. Now, the next one I want to show you is called More Streets and Roads. And this one was in the Ubley Public Library or Public Schools, and that's just here in Michigan. And it was written by William S. Gray and Mary Hill Arbuthnot. Okay, and it was published by the Scott Foreman and Company, and it was published in, if I can see this without my glasses, because I don't see too well without them anymore, 1955, I believe, and that would be the year that produced another classic, Me. Okay, well, you can agree with that or disagree. That's fine. I love this image of the home and the cars out there. It's just such a almost idyllic scene of America back at that time. Home was very, very important, and home consisted of a mom taking care of the kids, a dad who provided for his family, and and kids who were pretty obedient to their moms and dads. Here's one with the family on a train, and they are going somewhere. Not sure where. Here, I love this one. This lady looks so indignant. I don't know what the porter did, but she looks indignant by whatever he did. But this is what you can look for in these books. They are absolutely amazing. Here's one I like, A Visitor in Camp, another story about camps. And I may actually read out some of these stories in the future to you because I think they're quite wonderful. The camp was visited by a moose, stately, beautiful creature. And then here we have the family looking at the moose tracks on the ground. Now, this book features so many cool stories, and there's just so many different topics, historical topics, and things which were current for the day. Now, here I have the New Winston Third Reader. I love the cover on this because, as most of you know, I love black cats. Charlie Cat was a black cat, and his little daughter, who is behind me over here, baby Boo Boo, and the daughter that lives at my house, CJ. And then this was a Halloween cover with the pumpkin. But the New Winston Third Reader, just really wonderfully illustrated. And this was written by Sidney G. Furman and Ethel Maltby Gers, and it was illustrated by Frederick Richardson and also Edwin J. Prittie, Prittie, and it was published in 1929. So we can look at some really cool images in here from the late 20s. Excuse me. But most of these stories did not take place at the time that it was printed. They were, stories that went back to different points in time other than what was current there. That's okay though, because the images are just, they're just very special, and they're in that style of that era, the late Art Deco or Art Nouveau era. So there is it's just wonderful. Here's a little boy and his dog and his presumably daddy, and this one is not so profusely illustrated as others. Here's one that took place in what would have been the present then, Valentine's fun, and you'll see the boys in their knickers, and they're dressed really neat. They don't wear stretched pants and don't wear pants down below their butts to reveal their underwear. Man, it had to be a better time in America than it is now. I mean, it had to be. This particular book, I'm not sure, it doesn't indicate what library it came from. In very nice condition, except for a slight discoloration along the edge. Those kind of things don't bother me because the books are special. Now, next is Facts and Fancies, and I love the cover on this one. A little sailor boy on a ship made of a book. And this one was produced by the John C. Winston Company, and it was written by William Dodge Lewis and Albert Lindsay Rowland, illustrated by Francis J. Hoops and Margaret Campbell Hoops. Now, this is a really thick book, but it has so many wonderful things in it. Now, there's a story in here about Indian Sign Language, and I love the illustration that goes with it. Now, I am definitely going to be using that in a video that I do about Indian Sign Language somewhere in the hopefully near future. And it's so I will be reproducing that. Now, some of the stories, not a lot, well, some of them are from current times, like what would have been current then, like this Halloween scene with the bobbing for apples. And look at that. Look at the face on that moon in the background. Is that not cool? That is cool. That is so cool. And let's see what else we got here. Let's see what else we got here. Here's some pilgrims evidently fighting the Indians, which was kind of like biting the hand which feeds you, because if it wasn't for the Indians, the pilgrims probably would have starved that first Thanksgiving. But the Indians got paid back. Yeah, right. Not very nicely. Not very nicely at all. Here's three ladies on a hike in the woods. Look at their clothes. The clothes are so wonderful. I mean, what happened to society? I mean, today, if you go out in the woods or you go down the street, you, at least here, you see very big women in very tight stretch pants that they look like they had to pour themselves into, and tops very tight on the top, with these big flabby stomachs hanging out. And what happened to the days when women and men had pride in how they looked and how they dressed? Um, so, how to make a telephone. That's an interesting one. Just so many cool things in here. Um, Billy and his drum. Look at the kids. They were happy. And they were happy, and they didn't have the electronic games and crap that we have today for kids. My dad was raised during that era, and I remember him telling me the only thing electronic that he had when he was a boy was he had a crystal radio that he made out of parts that cost nothing. And it actually did pick up radio stations. There weren't a lot of radio stations then, but it picked them up. All right, and lastly, I want to show you the how and why, how and why, the How and Why Club, excuse me. This book is really kind of unusual in that it's a science book. That's not unusual, but the stories are kids' stories, but they're all science centered, and they're done very nicely. Now, this was produced by the L.W. Singer Company, and it was written by George Willard Fraser, Helen Dolman, Francis Shoemaker, Catherine Verroy, and it was illustrated by G&Y Brownwise, I believe it is. So in here are many different science themes. Oh, I didn't say when it was printed, did I? I guess that would be helpful to know. Where did it go? It's difficult to see, but it was printed in 1939. Science is a lot different today than it was in 1939. Here's a really interesting photo or image, not photo, illustration of kids in the school classroom with their teacher. Notice how the teacher's dressed. Teachers don't dress like that anymore. He was a professional, and he dressed like a professional. And the kids dressed dignified, which is something we, as you can tell by what I've been saying, we could use more of in this world. How beavers live. Again, the illustrations so colorful. Although there are a lot of black and white ones in this particular book too. There's Jack finds some fossils. Fossils are fascinating to me, but my interest in fossils started out when I was a little kid. This book would have been awesome for any child at that time who was interested in fossils and ancient prehistoric life. And then let's see here. I will pick out one more image here to show you, and well, maybe I will. All right, here's two boys tapping a maple tree so that they can make that delicious maple syrup that is so good and so expensive nowadays. But again, all of these were obtained for under $1 a piece at a Habitat for Humanity thrift store here in Saginaw. Look, I hope you enjoyed taking a look at those with me. Books are an awesome thing to collect and preserve, because when an EMP hits or our power grid goes down for some other reason and we don't have TV or the internet, books are going to be a thing again, let me tell you. And they're going to have a heavy impact upon people at a point in time when there's not going to be a lot of entertaining things that you can do without electricity. So again, I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to be back with you again with another on my bookshelf probably in a few weeks, and in God willing, in a few weeks. So I love every one of you on the other side of that monitor, and don't ever forget it. You have a friend here at the Dennis Morrison Channel. God bless, and I will see you all again real soon.